let's take a look at the next map, as that is totally the sound for that. Cursed Hollow is going to be imported support's pick for this game. And it's 3-2 right now for Lag Force, but I like seeing a pivotal match like this on Cursed.
You ready for a second ban on Zarya? Second ban phase? Zarya is going to get banned. If not, I guarantee you we'll see some Zarya pick up. Every time we talk about a hero, it shows up right over your shoulder, and I'm like, I don't know if like I'm seeing it before I say it or I'm saying it and then I see it.
Influence.
Tyrael would have really good play. Can we get that Tyrael? Like, we're gonna all the meta picks that are gonna come in this game right over Jake's shoulder. I promise.
You don't have fancy screens. You got a Stitches plushie and a Illidan statue. They're still pretty cool.
You jelly?
Pretty jelly.
You should be.
Now, when we think about Cursed Hollow, the oldest map in the game, there's a million different ways to approach it. Brightwing ban seems very likely once again. We've seen that continuously, but do you actually think there's a case for banning Zarya over Brightwing?
Brightwing first ban, Zarya second ban. Seriously, I'm 100%. I doubt we'll see Brightwing. There's no way we see Brightwing not banned. Okay.
Okay. He's saying by Lagif because imported plays.
Right. Lagif will ban Brightwing because I doubt they'll pick it up themselves. I haven't seen them run it, but this is a newer Brightwing. We've seen a lot of it from imported support, however.
Yeah.
First ban Brightwing. We've seen it. Second ban Zarya, unless Zarya gets picked up in first rotation. But because Lag Force has first pick, they get the first 3 picks. Imported support only gets 2 before the second ban phase, so I think that would be the appropriate bans. And if they watched any of the Open Division playoffs, they ran Zarya on this map. Do you remember the expulsion
zones were disgusting. It was just constant, on this map. There's
locking
so many
people in.
Yeah, near the tributes, specifically on the top right and the bottom left side of the map, the expulsion zone has ridiculous control over that space, especially if you're invading on the enemy team side of the map. And we had a case where that happened. I think it was a gray man that just
just literally against the curved wall.
He was stuck. He was just locked in.
That's a bad feeling.
That's a terrible feeling. And some pretty dominant play from them through the open. But when it comes to the actual straight-up team fights, Lag Force is presenting to be a different level of play for them. Yeah. And although they might be able to find those moments, I mean, Lagif is a pro team, right? At the end of the day, they're way above what we see out of Donkeys R Us. They are above what we tend to see out of like most of the competition. Heroes Hearth and imported support showing that they are at a level where they can compete. Winning 2 maps in a best of 7 already speaks for itself. And it's at this point, it's who's playing better today.
It's almost like you wish. And there's so much respect. And I understand our viewership is naturally going to be higher for this part, the Crucible. And I guarantee there's probably a huge crowd out there that hasn't seen the Open Division. I'm telling you. There is so much respect for imported support and Heroes Hearth. Obviously, Heroes Hearth with the big names.
Right.
But BBJ, and team that are on that team, they came from another first place team. Yeah, from LFM previously. There's a lot of respect towards these 2 teams. And everybody expected them to be here. And I put out a poll on Twitter. A lot of people expected 1 team. A lot of people expected 2 teams. Very few people. The least amount of voted was how many NA teams get into the pro. The least voted one was 0. The people that watch know, right? And even the players know, the respective players. So this here, it is about who's playing better because this is an HGC-worthy team.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited that they're still in this.
Yeah, even the guys at Lagif stated some of those players are more than worthy of being HGC pro players, but they've all got to show up here and prove that now. Otherwise, words are meaningless. It is going to be Cursed Hollow for the 6th game, and the Brightwing is snap banned. 0 hesitation, no surprise.
ET Sizzle, take him right off the board. I want to see who's going to be willing and when somebody will be taking Tyrael this game. We saw it on the Sky Temple game, had a lot of value. We know what it does here on Cursed Hollow with the value that you can obtain from him with the Holy Ground, especially around bosses, double boss play again, around the tributes, locking people into choke points. So I think that will be a contention point later in the draft, maybe even before second ban. I doubt it'll make it there, but both teams more than capable of playing a Tyrael style play. And the threat of Genji is going to be there. So we'll see where Lag Force wants to go.
In first pick situations, okay, they're doing the medic again.
Choke points, you can get that double grenade value at level 13.
Tomster was nasty with the grenades. What was it? Was it Medic Stu call that we saw?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was good. That was really good.
Draded will get his Rhaegar, and it's going to be, or the Greymane, and then the Rhaegar picked up as well for the Wolf Pack. I can dig it. I can dig it. 2 heroes this team does do very well with, obviously in the meta.
Does Wolf Joe belong in the wolf pack?
Oh, yeah. So do I.
Saw him on screen earlier.
He belongs.
Back in the HGC, yeah.
Diamond skin.
Diamond. Play on Li Ming. Technically Diablo ability. I know a thing or two about Diablo. Few things.
2 things.
Few things. Again, the Zarya play is going to be the most interesting to me simply because I don't necessarily think Leoric will have high priority if they're going double warrior setup. Sonya, not necessarily something I would see imported support run, which brings up the secondary option that if Zarya is banned, I wonder if we might finally see our first Dahaka, who does well on this battleground. There's going to be some contention between that pick, whether it's going to be B-Kid's role or whether Swab's Magoo on the other side. I think that will be something to look at. Potentially even a Johanna pickup coming again. There's a lot to look for imported support.
For imported, yes. They go for the Garrosh again here. Now, Garrosh has received a lot of bans in the series just because of that first game where, honestly, imported support didn't look like they were awake. There were so many pull-ins from the Garrosh that just turned into a flip. Zarya desperately trying to shield and save the hero. Never really happened. Valla also going to be good just for that big, consistent damage. Auto attacker, you know, there's so many different builds that work. She's a flexible hero, and now imported has the ban. So I'm in agreement with you that Johanna seems incredibly likely on the side of imported support, just knowing Ignition and what he likes to play. However, I almost think there's a case for LagForce to just straight ban Johanna because of the comfort that exists for him on that hero. I
feel like the 2 heroes that stand out to me the most are Johanna, but I think Tyrael. Again, I talked about who would pick Tyrael. Tyrael has that mobility. If you go Heraldric Reforging, it's on a very short cooldown if you need that. There's the Cassia hover right there. Again, Garrosh suffers against poke-style heroes.
But also, where does specialty excel? He excels in auto-attack ranged assassins. You take Valla, you remove Cassia, and you're saying it's not like he can't get value on a Lunar. It's not like he can't get value on even Gul'dan or something. But I just like that they're targeting him a little bit because there's so many fights where, honestly, his interactions mid-fight, just blowing someone up, landing the big combos of that Cassia damage, turn things around.
My Zarya prediction seems a little bit scarier because of the Morales Garrosh. And the potential Stukov for the double support. It's hard to get shields off when you're silenced.
Yes.
Especially in chokes. And so I wonder if they're considering that. Again, the Dahaka play I think would be really good.
Oh, this is my jam.
This is my jam.
Now, you see 2 supports, you're like, there's no way they'll pick Zarya. Well, guess what? Imported support still could. But they are going to go for Arthas instead of Johanna for that frontline control.
That's surprising. It's not surprising in the fact that it's good against Valla because he's got built-in physical armor.
Yep.
He's got potential ways to deal with that. He's got lockdown. But he lacks mobility, and that's normally what you see people either ban when they pick Garrosh or they pick against Garrosh, like an Anubarak, like a Tyrael, things like that, even the ETC power slide, to make sure that if and when you get flipped, because it's inevitable at some point in the game you're going to get flipped.
Someone's going to be getting flipped.
You better hope that you're not getting blown up in the process. And Arthas, he does have army, and maybe that's where he wants to be. He just turns on his big cold aura. It's like, all right, well, I'm here already. Let's go.
Army of the Dead, wait for that ancestral heal and live in the depths forever.
But Reign of Vengeance and a choke point is like, good luck, buddy. Good luck.
No. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out with the Arthas being picked up. 2 more picks now for LagForce. They don't have their solo laner yet. They have not drafted. They've put like almost 0 priority into global heroes, no matter what the map is. We could see the Dahaka, but no, they're opting for the Sonya, and then just Uther for a little bit more snap sustain to complement that medic. Double support so prominent right now.
Stun City potentially coming in.
Yeah.
Between Uther, once Garrosh flips him over, stun, get the spear in, really kind of blow somebody up. We'll see. Again, I feel like you've got to have either a global or a solo laner or both in the form of a Dahaka here. Could still be the Zarya, as you mentioned. This is Swabs here.
They need to really pay. Swabs could be on Lucio technically, but they need to really pay attention to the rotations. One medic grenade displacing you into a Garrosh pull into a throw, and you're on the other side of the lane. So if this is anything like Dragonshire, where they really weren't respecting the Garrosh, I'm worried for imported support. This last pick could be specialty, and it could be Swabs. Drada should be Greymane, Ignition on Arthas, and likely the Lucio for the Aware.
Throw the meta out the window. Abathur pick.
Greymane is a great target for a clone.
Yeah.
Arthas hat with the Abathur. He gives you a global advantage. Again, there's been almost 0 drafting of the globals on the side of Lagif. So it's the first 10 levels are going to be interesting.
They'll be very interesting. If you can get away with getting 1 tribute on the side of imported support, that's good because you can wait out that 10. Normally 3 tributes, depending on how long they're stalled.
Right.
Could potentially show up before you get right around that level 10. It makes team fights around there very difficult, potentially give up an early curse. But with Abathur, the later it goes into the game, post 13, post 16, 13 especially because you get that heal off that spike burst, but the later it goes in the game, the more scary Abathur becomes, that lane control, everything about that, plus the clone, as you said. But again, the thing that scares me the most is that Lucio, Rhaegar has probably like your best wave clear, and Arthas, you don't necessarily have that control. So you're all in or all out, and you don't really have the mobility without the Lucio. It kind of helps, but I'm telling you, if Garrosh gets a hold of you and tosses you behind, like that's
especially
scary.
pre-10, especially
any
pre-10.
of those heroes.
Yeah.
Any of those heroes that get tossed back, Rhaegar, Laxma, you can argue he's got speed. Well, yeah, well, good luck walking through the person that just threw you behind you, right? And so those are going to be, Ancestrals are going to have to be clutch. The Sound Barrier is going to have to be clutch. And, of course, you know, we talked about the army potentially coming out. But I imagine that they embrace the chaos of being tossed in. Arthas gets tossed in, and you full commit. It's kind of the old style. The old style, I know we got to get in the game, but Stitches used to throw out a hook, pull people in. And the old school style was the minute he throws the hook out, bam, everybody collapses, right? This could be a similar style. He throws you in, just come with him.
Force the fight. Well, we're going to find out if imported support can go toe-to-toe with Lagif once again. It's game number 6 on Cursed Hollow, and the stakes are high, about as high as they're ever going to be for a team trying to go amateur to pro.
And doing that, trying to defend their spot, is Lagforce, is Biggie going to be on the Vala? Tomster, of course, going to be on that Morales grenades for days. B-Kid going to be on Sonya. Then we're going to see iDream will be on Uther.
Once again, imported support has Ignition on the main tank of Arthas. We're going to be seeing the Aware playing that Rhaegar. Double support this time. Is going to end up being specialty on the Lucio. We saw that Greyman's going to be played by Swabs Magoo, and Draded rounding out the team on that Abathur. So,
it's full team fight.
You know, we were talking a lot about the potential of the zone control around the bosses and around the top left and or top right and bottom left tributes here on the map, but there's no Falstad, there's no Zarya for the Graviton Surge, there's no Holy Ground for the Tyrael, and that is a common go-to here for the side of imported support. They're playing a little bit more, like you said, straight-up team fight.
They are, and it shows by the builds. You're going into the hat build at level 1, get that spike burst, that cooldown reduction. You're also seeing Greymane going into the melee style. And the thing is, you're not doing it with an Uther. You're not doing it with a Tyrael. You're doing it with a Lucio Rhaegar, and you're going to have the Arthas by your side, and you're going to have the clone and the hat target. So that's going to be it, and here it is. You're going to have to get the sidewall down. Ignition is going to fall, and I'm telling you, like, can expect a few more of those.
I mean, again, just immediately apparent that they're not respecting the Garrosh. And, you know, when you're against the Garrosh Uther, you know, we talk about not being at the max range of the Q and knowing how to step forward a little bit. If Uther's with him, you can't do that. Hammer of Justice just comes down, so this is going to be something they got to learn how to adapt to and play a little bit more safely with. Bottom lane is also a problem as Vala is getting free range here. 2 bad lanes right now, and Rhaegar gets picked off as well from bad to worse, only a minute in.
This comp is going to struggle early game, and if they do not respond to the bot lane, it's going to get worse. Like, Garrosh and Uther don't scare me wave clear wise, so if you want to keep the 2 of them up there, then by all means doing that, but send somebody bottom. You are a full level down thanks to the combination of Morales and Vala.
Basically a never-ending push. Oh, look, Tomster's got full energy. Hey, we can do this again. And, you know, right now, Ignition is cleaning things up for them. Abathur rotated up to the top side of the map with the rotations happening. But it's going to be tough. For level 1 through 10, I feel like, is just how close can imported support keep the game?
They're going to need to keep it super close. And, you know, we see this a lot more lately going into the Q build for Vala. It gives you good boss pressure. It allows you to clear bosses earlier and quicker. And the fact that you've got an Abathur, the invade's probably not going to be there because you don't really come online until post-10. So you can make the plays around the bosses. And again, with that full level lead, I talked about the potential, depending on how long they're stalled, you might run into the issue simply of the fact that, well, they're going to be level 10, they're going to get cursed, there's no way we can contest the tributes, and then they make a play on the boss. And a lot of that will come down to the tribute spawns as we get our first tribute going to be in the bottom middle.
admittedly, we just should probably see imported support maybe safely stall, but not fully commit to this. They don't have a well down here. They need to catch up in experience, and they have Abathur for a little bit of that. Rhaegar's getting a mercenary camp. I like that call. Especially can, yeah, just be a little bit annoying as long as Arthas keeps eyes on the garage. But don't want to push too far forward, especially he's going to have to speed boost back home.
A little annoying. That's very annoying when you have a Lucio that just constantly wall rides in and auto attacks. You're like, guys, please help. Because guy's really annoying me.
And that's going to be the end of their stall. It did buy enough time for the Night Camp to be collected here. Swabs Magoo forcing that Sonya to tap the well. Little tiny victory for him there as they can clean up the Giant Camp. And I think they lost the top wall from just the lone Abbott they're defending.
It's a tough defense with an Abathur comp, and you go double support. Your wave clear is all but nigh, and there it is. The toss into the grenade, Ignition doing whatever he can to stay alive. The Groundbreaker back in. The hat build just not going to be enough. Just, by the way, into the fray if you want to go. But
oh, there's a boss being started here in the top of the map because they know that they're behind and they know they cannot fight. But yes, B-Kid is already there in the wings, and he's just going to force them to disengage. You know, they have to make desperate calls, but you're not going to get away with that versus a team like any team in the HGC Pro League.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just do the same. They're actually so they had two calls here. Do we fall back and get boss, or do we just push in? Because bot and top lane, there's no walls left, so there's no real value to do anything. So you just kind of do the exact same thing mid and stretch that XP lead.
They did pick up Mule to try to mitigate some of the structural pressure that's been put onto them the first half of the game. They are not quite a full level down, but it's definitely something that they need to be wary of. You mentioned they need to get one of the tributes in the first 3 to make sure they're not in a terrible position, and this is going to be one of the more defensible ones, but it's still tough when your Rhaegar gets thrown, body blocked, and oh, the boop, going to be enough to get the Aware away.
For now, they've got Greymane poking on the backside, and they are zoning enough now. The Aware will get the channel. This is
that's huge.
It's significant. It's significant right now. Swabs and Magoo's there again. They're really going to be online post 10, and now is the time to make boss plays. The reason being, the next tribute is top left. If you're on the side of Lag Force, you consider that. However, you've got a B-Kid and a whole bunch of minions pushing top lane on that fort, but the next tribute will be top left. We'll see if anybody does make a play for the bosses to try and help secure that, or if they wait more towards Curse Point.
Lucio scouting things out here, not looking to get too greedy. Rhaegar is going to grab the Giant Camp just to help in bottom. And there is a Mule pickup. So when Sonya steps forward and pressures like that, and then Greymane's able to zone a little bit, that Mule could get some decent value for the team to hold on and deny that structural damage. But level 10 is just about here, and this next tribute has to be conceded as a result.
But that's okay. That is okay. The fact that you got the last tribute, if they had not got that last tribute, this is the exact scenario that I was talking about. Instead, they got it. They're fine. They'll be able to contest the third one or the fourth one, but the third on the side of Lag Force when they do get 10. So imported support, as bad as it looks so far, is actually okay.
They've more or less stabilized, like you said. They don't need to fight over this tribute, and they will not. They'll just wait, get 10. Mule healed up the top fort to full. Bottom is getting pushed out, and no one will be there to respond. And actually, this is a big opportunity to collect a lot of free XP for the team. There is the risk of a boss being started, and yes, that's happening.
Because Uther in the bot lane is keeping 2 people busy down here, and he will gladly keep them in place. You'll get the experience, but you're losing a boss on your side.
All right, so now they know from the app of their minds that yes,
they're
the boss is
call.
Being done.
Bottom
they're
left.
Collapsing on that boss themselves. This is probably the best case scenario for them, as long as Abathur doesn't get picked.
They have to get this. They have to get this quick, because if they might have a team fight no matter what.
Where's the hat?
No hat. Abathur had to Hearth. The hat will or should come in. Uther's going to be in this spot.
Oh no, the Hammer of Justice actually getting the boss down on the Aware, slowing them down a good amount and enough for them to get into the Aware. Instantly gets pulled in, but they find the kill on Uther. Like 1-for-1 on the supports. The Ghost of Uther going to have a lot of value compared to the dead Rhaegar.
He's going to have the value traded there on the clone, putting the pressure onto Morales, but no interrupts whatsoever. The clone will just be all for naught, but Tomster taking so much damage. Swabs Magoo coming in the backside. Safeguard's going to be there. The toss over is not going to be enough in time, but Swabs Magoo in all kinds of trouble. but so is Zuna. This fight is still raging on.
Lucio heals, doing everything he can. Speed boosting his team back to tap those wells, and the boss is in the bottom lane, but Abathur's doing his best to defend the top boss, which has been pushing in onto the keep wall here with Giants behind it. A lot of value for that. They will be able to clean it up shortly. This next tribute would grant a curse to the side of Lag Force.
There is the Siege Giants also in the bottom, and
man.
Morales just respawned.
She can't deal with that.
No, but that's the thing. It's like, this is Curse Point. I don't know where they engage,
Oh,
but
the
Ignition
Ignition!
eats so much damage. The hat is not going to do anything. Special T on the wrong side of that, and what could have been a major power play for imported support turns into a win for Lag Force.
Specialty stalls it out a little bit to get that boss through the wall onto the bottom keep. So that is the one minor thing they have going for them here, is they made it through that wall. It's a good bit of experience for them. They're going to get some structural damage done. Abathur, again, has Mule. If they can defend all these lanes, yeah, they might lose their forts, but, you know, keep walls, very valuable structures to deny any kind of mid to late game team wipes where you just become super vulnerable to dying. At least they're not going to be worried about that right now.
The longer this game goes on, the more it favors the Abathur composition. And the fact that this is all you can get done with Curse, which still have 30 seconds on it. You should be able to commit this fort, but we're going to see on the opposite side, imported support going to pick up their night camp. They're also going to get their Giant stolen, so they will have to defend this bot lane, and they'll have to do it pretty quickly once this is picked up, but imported support, they're still in the game despite being down quite a few structures, but that bot lane, you get late game, Jake, it's the same thing. You take a late game team fight, that bottom keep is just a free win at that point. You walk right past and do work.
All right, they're looking for a collapse play. Lucio going around the backside as you see Ignition charging on in, trying to make this fight happen on the even talent tier. But the good response here, safe positioning on the side of Lagus, not overstaying their welcome. Wasted Army of the Dead, essentially, as they're just running in and doing nothing, and didn't quite work out for imported.
The army chased. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Siege Giants being cleaned up here, because if they were left alone, they would have done some serious value. You lose a team fight, you lose a keep, and that would have been rough. Instead, you get a little bit of value out of the camp that you picked up that's pushing mid lane. We might have an invade, though, happening down at bottom.
This is a decent call, but again, you know, these confined spaces can be scary.
Yeah.
They're not going to commit to it. I mean, how did they lose one of the games earlier? They invaded, you know, in a situation where they didn't need to.
Even talent tiers, you've got 1 tribute to 0 in favor of imported support. No boss play for a while, so next tribute phase. I like the stall phase. Wait to see where the next tribute is before you pick that up. There's no need to pick that up because it's got such a long walk.
Imported is so eager to find a fight right now. They're not soaking bottom. They're looking straight for the fight. And Garrosh with a big taunt. The Rain Event is going down. The Aware gets Hammer of Justice, and the Sound Bearer is going to be there at the last moment for the sustain. Ancestral Heal going to be a big playmaker needed for this fight, but it's not ready, unfortunately. And the Aware has the Earth Shield barely surviving. They find the 1 kill on the Vala. It's an impactful kill to have. Drayden is keeping 2 members busy in the backline, the clone, but it's looking like, all in all, it's going to be a win for the side of Laggett.
I was surprised that they sustained as long as they did. The Sound Barrier came out, but we had a 4-person taunt into a 3-person Rain of Vengeance. The Sound Barrier was clutch. Unfortunately, the Ancestral did not come in on time, and Lucio was the first to fall. And as you said, it seems the clone has eyes on the supports. That Morales has been struggling with that clone back there.
Which is great, but like, why look for that fight if Ancestral's not ready? Was it ready and got stunned?
It got
stunned, okay.
Lucio died so fast. He got deleted as it was landing.
Gotcha. My bad on that part. Then, well, we do see this is going to be just a 1-to-1 tribute situation. 16 is too dangerously close for imported to really want to consider going for this. Abathur has kept the game fairly even in XP. He could mule the mid fort if he decides he wants to.
Again, 2 things to consider. Arthas is a great asset when you run Executioner at 16. You get extra damage on targets that are slowed, and
it's 16
Ignition.
to 15. Why are they doing this?
I'm not 100% sure. The Ancestral will land this time. They've got a lot of damage. Drated going in. The cleanse is going to be there, but iDream will fall. B-Kid coming down the backside, going to be a little bit too late. The Ghost of Uther is just going to pass around some heals as the clone goes down. We've got a 4-on-4, but you still got that.
The clone's gone. The clone is gone, yep. And Swaz Magoo instantly getting focused down nicely here. He will end up going down very quickly. And now this is just looking like a full retreat needed. Army of the Dead once again trailing behind, giving them a little bit of space, but
Garrosh is just
too much.
Terrifying. Terrifying for imported support. It's like every now and again they figure it out and then they forget. And they figure it out and then they forget. And without Greymane, and again, this is why Vala is so valuable, they're going to get that boss, rotate up and steal another one. And Jake, bottom and top have been opened up over this time to where this is a scary moment for imported support.
Greymane's up in 3 seconds. They can conceivably slow this down a little bit, try to make time for him. They're going to have 30 seconds, however, until they have the Ancestral and the Army of the Dead. So it's a big part of their sustain. Honestly, right now, they're not willing to overextend towards it. And this window is just going to buy a little space for them to consider defending the boss.
And nobody showed up defending the bottom boss. The minute they do, they're going to engage as fast as you possibly can. And just like that, they have the burst damage. Oh,
it would have been nice.
I think that might have, I wasn't sure if that was Hand of Protection or Indomitable, but Ignition caught in the back line again. They're going to try and engage here. The cleanse is forced to be used onto Arthas, but he is going to get deleted. And that's going to be a boss that never leashed in the back. It's going to be picked up, a tribute as well. Things starting to heavily go in favor of Lag Force.
And the bottom boss is tearing through this. Abathur's doing everything he can. He'll have the mule to heal it back up. But now they got a top boss to deal with. They've got a tribute disadvantage once more. And the experience is swinging again in favor of Lagav.
Abathur just sat there. It's tearing up my keep when I'm with you. When you are in base, I feel it too.
Level 16. Is it going to be enough for them to be able to fight toe-to-toe when they actually have a straight-on team fight and their keep? But the boss is always a big threat, especially with Garrosh potentially pulling you into those stomps, something they have to be incredibly mindful of. That keep is down, but they swap the goo, get pulled in into the stomp.
The Ancestral's going to land, but we've got the taunt going to be there. The Rain of Vengeance coming down. Zuna getting very low. The cleanse is going to be onto him, and on the backside, Swabs trying to get a takedown, but he will get the heal as he goes in. Biggie, though, gonna fall. That's going to be the first to fall as Vala goes down. Zuna in a little bit of trouble as well. Remember, the boss is on the core, but that is 2 members down on the side of Lag Force.
They managed to stay alive. A lot of little clutch plays. Nice cleanse coming out there from iDream. The boss being cleaned up by the Greymane in the back, and B-Kid has the Ancient Spirit for the retreat. Global presence of Abathur, keeping bottom from becoming an issue right now, and this tribute is essential for Imported to hold on, but that shield on the core is gone. 78%, but they get a nice staggered kill. 55 seconds before Sonya's back in it.
That slow on that spike burst is nasty, and I tell you what, that level 7 pickup is looking really good because Abathur will be able to heal up the bottom keep or turn that attention over to the core. So that will get value as the game goes on, but Imported support really, really needed that. They're looking to take a bot keep. There's no way they're going for core, is it? You're not that desperate.
I don't know. 30 seconds for Sonya is up.
You can't. Yeah,
they get the keep.
Okay.
It's a full 2 minutes before the bottom boss is available again. So that's not a play they can look to make right now. They can continue having solid presence. Without Sonya on the map, they're fairly safe doing this kind of thing. Again, you gotta be careful when you step forward into a Garrosh throw. I say fairly safe, and then Rhaegar just gets completely bodied. It feels bad, man.
Every time they think that they're safe, and Garrosh is just...
And it's apparent that they're not accustomed to playing against it, because in situations where you feel that you're okay, it's like being hooked. You got to treat it like a Stitches in a lot of ways and always be thinking, could Garrosh kill me if I went here? Could Garrosh kill me if I went here? Well, guess what?
If I'm Rhaegar, my answer is always yes. Well, this is going to be curse point in favor of Lag Force. 20 seconds before Rhaegar is up. Arthas is helping to clear that top lane because Siege Giants that we had moments ago, we saw that, plus the catapults were pushing. So he's going to have to clean that up. Locusts are going to come out in defense. Bot keep is all but gone at this point. But can they survive through this? They are 1 away from curse point, but they also have to be very careful with team fights. They might try and look for the flank. Ignition going in instantly onto Biggie. He's got the Hungering Arrows out. Tomster staying safe on the back line. Ignition, he's got the army out, but the sound barrier's down, and they're going to continue to look for the fight. The root going in on the B-Kid. The cleanse going to be there. They're trying to get the damage on as the heals are being minimized, and the Ancestral is out.
And Sonya's healing up a lot with that self-sustain, and they're looking at Zuna, but the heals from Medic are just barely enough to sustain through that. Bottom keep has a sliver of health. All the big heals have been used, and the turnaround onto Ignition with no army, no Ancestral, and no sound barrier. But Vala gets picked off here. iDream in the back doing the peel they need for the team.
That's Uther,
yes,
though.
it's going to be dead.
That's Uther, though. That is a kill that will come back. Now we have a 4 versus 3, and one of those is Abathur. You have no damage left.
No.
Specialty is low. The hat is going to be there. The grenade is hitting. They have the likes of Sonya to get on this core. Vala is not here, but they have a tremendous amount of damage. They have all the heals in the world. iDream, however, looking to fall. They are going down. The core is falling 50%. They get the taunt back on the backside. Abathur's going to go down 40% and falling. Lag Force looks like they have done it. They will claim their spot in the HGC Pro Division by securing game number 4 against imported support.
Deja vu. Phase 1. Imported, make it all the way through the open division. They perform well in the playoffs, but at the end of the day, Lag Force hold steady, maintain their position in a 4-6 series, and hold on to their spot in HGC. And it's been a wild ride for them. I mean, coming into 2017, they were looked at as a fairly top contender in North America. They had a lot of good results in 2016, but honestly, they didn't perform. They made some changes going into Phase 2. Those changes took a few weeks to kind of figure them out. And towards the end, they really turned up the heat, held it on, and they're here to prove that they're looking to become a bigger and better team in 2018. I think they've earned that opportunity.
They did, and a lot of people saw that. They recognized that towards the end of Phase 2, the switch of Zuna switching back over to Warrior. That was the big play. B-Kid somehow comes out playing Zagara in the midst of all that, and nobody has any clue what's going on, but somehow it's working. Somehow it's working. They made it, and now B-Kid going over to more of that melee role that we've seen so far. So we've got different looks from Lag Force. It seems like this is their best form that they've had all year. The results weren't quite there. And it's funny because a team like this, no matter what, you watch HGC NA, it's like, you look at their record, they're like, all right, they can't be that good. But every time you watch them,
it's like,
the mentality is like, they could beat any team at any given moment the way that they play. It's just sometimes they're their own worst enemy, and sometimes they take team fights and they just slaughter people, right? So it's kind of like, which one do you get? But they've looked really good the later half, and they did well to secure their spot going into 2018.
I think Zuna being on Warrior 2 just makes a lot of sense. The guy is a mastermind when it comes to, we should fight right now. Let's engage. Let's form this way, and being that shot caller and finding those moments. And I mean, his Garrosh, his Muradin, it didn't matter where he was. He has to be the MVP, in my opinion, because honestly, it just felt like if he was on Garrosh, they didn't know what to do. They suffered immensely in every phase of both maps, whether it be a team fight or a rotation, just picking them. That last night camp where Rhaegar got pulled in, devastating. Rough. It's devastating. But Zuna's just like, thank you. And, you know, a lot of Garroshes might not be looking for that at every moment, but Zuna's always thinking, maybe there's a Rhaegar. Where's Rhaegar? Oh, there he is.
Zuna was always thinking, I want to kill something. Like, there's no hide in that. Like,
dreams or other heroes. He wants to kill them.
It's literally just the way that he plays is like, can I take a team fight? Yep. Is it the best one? Probably not, but you can take it, right? But it's worked for them a lot. Again, it's the switch to him being on the Warrior call. And it goes back to last year. I know we're probably going to be waiting to get somebody out, but it goes back to last year in the sense that every time I would see him, he'd be on like a melee assassin. It's always like he'd be one step ahead of his team, making the call, the old Naventic style that they dominated with the early part of 2016. And they took all the team fights during that stun meta. They were very aggressive. And then it got to a point to where it's like, all right, he's got a new roster. He's got Topster. They had role swaps. They had Kenma. And Kenma would always be at the front line with him. Everybody knows that. But they would always find a way to be aggressive. And that was the thing. That was what they were known for. But the minute the role changes started to come in, the slight changes in their roster, it was a matter of like, he's on a melee role. He's on Tracer. He's on Jaina. He would look good, but he'd always be one step ahead of his team. He's trying to get the team. Follow me. Go with me. Initiate. And he had trouble throughout the year on those roles. He switches back over to Warrior. His team now is following his lead, and I think that's one of the big reasons why they look better.
And I think it was a big question mark for a lot of people as to when the season started for Phase 2 is how is iDream going to mesh with this team, right?
Yeah.
B-Step exploded. Everyone had to find new homes, and iDream transitioned right over to them. When Kenma decided to retire, that's when Tom started to go to support. But iDream, being that full flex, being able to play Uther in that last game. I mean, he looks good no matter where you put him, honestly. And I was hesitant. I really was. But I think it's really proven to be a big, good change for the team overall. Now that everyone's adapted to their roles, they've adapted to the meta as it exists. Double support is in a lot of cases a necessity. It works out for them. And Naventic, now Lagif, it's so hard shaking that for me. It's been now Lagif is definitely going to have to prove that they're not a Crucible team next year, but at least they hold their spot.
Yeah, and, you know, we'll see what changes they make in terms of their play style, if any. They might just continue the same trend,
Well,
I think.
who knows what the meta will be, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
we've got Anna, who is not in this patch, but
I believe she'll be BlizzCon playable, so that's going to be a
I'm
big
looking forward
shakeup.
to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun you can have with Anna. I'm terrible at supports, and I'm terrible at 2-second skill shots, so I'll just watch from afar and study as best I can without playing too much. But again, I think going forward, if they can continue with Zuna in that form, Tomster for somebody that was known for playing the ranged assassins, moving over to melee at the end of last year, and he kind of made a lot of these changes, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of phase 2, they tried Big E at support. He's like, nope, I can't do it. Tomster's like, I guess I'm the next one up. And so has excelled phenomenally. If you watch, like, the timing, it's like he sees the game as and before it's happening. He's played incredibly well, too. I know Zuna gets a lot of credit there. Biggie obviously doing a lot, carrying there. iDream, when you're Flex, you're kind of the unsung hero, right? But Tomster making that role and only being in that role for, what, 2, maybe 3 months at this point, I think he's done one hell of a job.
Well, you mentioned Biggie, and we actually have Biggie here on the call. Congratulations, man, on maintaining your position in the HGC Pro League. What were your expectations? Did you have any doubts with Imported?
Our expectations were like pretty much what I said in the pregame interview. We were pretty confident going into it, and I mean, we were just worried about the chokeout more than anything. We just took it out. We didn't want to get cheesed.
You guys adapted to a good bit of Brightwing bans. That's something just you planned on doing as well from watching their playoff games?
Pretty much like on big maps, I think we wanted to take away the Brightwing because it's super annoying to deal with globals, and it was kind of annoying to deal with one of the games. So we were just like, might as well just take it away because the Ario and the Zarya wasn't that scary.
Is Dahaka in the background?
Race car Dahaka.
Oh.
And now, when we look at this team in particular, obviously you guys had a lot of changes, and we just talked about that briefly before we had you on. Now, do you feel that the changes that you made as kind of the final form that maybe Lag4 should have been all along? Obviously, you were in support at one point. You moved Tomster over, and you guys kind of had that relationship of who's going to be doing damage. Do you feel that this is the best form, and this is the best form for you guys going forward?
Yeah, some of us felt like this change should have happened from the very beginning, and we think it would have gave us better results. But I mean, at least we figured it out sooner than later. And I tried to play support, but it was just not me. I'm just too bad at support. And Tom was like, I'll do it for the team. So
doing it for the team, and you know, we see you guys as a team. You brought in iDream. How have things been in terms of trying to mesh everybody together in such a short time? Do you think that also contributed to maybe hitting the Crucible? Like, what are your expectations in this current roster? Do you guys see 2018 as a better year? Obviously, you've got to have your own thoughts, but when you talk with the team, I've heard interviews for you guys throughout the year. It's a matter of, hey, we get along great, but what do you have to do differently for next year?
that's a loaded question. Honestly, we just gotta keep at it and see where it takes us. I can't give a straight answer for that. I really don't know the answer for that. We just gotta figure it out together.
Well, let me ask that in a different way then, because if we look at the end of the Phase 2 season, you guys do look like a different team. You look infinitely better than the early stages. How much of that, in your opinion, is due to the fact that you guys just got more comfortable in your new roles after all the changes, more comfortable with the new member being iDream, or is it just because pressure's off? You know that you're not going to make it to BlizzCon at that point. You're just playing your game. You're not thinking. You're not worried about qualifying. What was the biggest variable in that instance?
I think one big thing was we started getting more comfortable and started working together a lot better. Like, we were all over the place in the very beginning. We all have different mindsets, and we weren't like gelling from the very beginning. So it started getting together at the end, towards the end.
Fair enough. Any final snippets you want to pick from his brain, Jay Howe?
I'm really curious how this team will look going forward. I think that, you know, you've answered probably the tough questions. We've got a long off season, so I look forward to you guys coming back next year on what you guys got.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Big E, and congrats again to Lagif on holding their position in the HGC Pro League. Imported support twice now have gotten pretty darn close, but Big E, congrats, man.
Thanks. And shout outs to my team.
Shout outs to everyone there on Lagif. Jay Howe, 1 best of 7 down for North America and Europe. Both HGC Pro League teams have held steady.